flying my colours.
Traditional Yorkshire welcome. How do Paul Powers?
Hello, mate. Lovely to see you again.
Yeah, this is Paul Powers. It's his birthday today.
61.
61 today. Businessman. Sat outside Powers Martial Arts Centre, Stannington, Sheffield. Personal Trainers Inc. So, Paul Powers. We're here to talk about fighting today.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So, we're going to talk about you as a young lad.
Yep. Basically, how it all started for me, getting bullied at school, usual story. 8-year-old, 7 or 8-year-old. Dad said to me, you've got a choice. You can go kickboxing, you can go boxing, or judo, or karate. Went and had a look at a few places and fell in love with judo initially.
I did. I loved it.
2 years. 2 years, and I loved every minute of it. And then Enter the Dragon came out. Bruce Lee, again. Watched that. And I thought, wow, that's what I want to do. So joined a karate club, did that for 30 years, and then threw some boxing in between that as well.
So, as a youngster with the karate, you got to a elite level, didn't you?
Yeah, I were the youngest black belt in country at the time.
How old were you when you got that?
I was 15, but these days they get him at 5, which is not what I liked to hear. But 15-year-old, and I'd done like 7 years training, 4 or 5 times a week, so it was an earned black belt. It wasn't a given. I actually then started competing, and my not first competition, but the first big win was I was entered into the adult championships, the North East Championships at 15. I looked older, so they got me through it, and I entered it just for experience, and then ended up beating 2 of my instructors and won the Northern England Championships at 15. So I did well with the competition side, and then I fell in love with the fighting.
Did you fight for GB?
Yeah, I fought for England squad. Yeah, I fought in Milan twice. I got a silver first year, bronze second year, and then I fought in Germany internationally for my country, and unfortunately met the fucking German champion in first round and basically got my arse kicked.
Really?
Yeah, I've got battered. And then I fought a couple of times internationally at Michael Silver Sports Centre in the UK. Did all right in them, but yeah, I fought at a nice, quite high level. Well, the main thing representing the country. But my main, not claim to fame, but my main achievement for me is the lads I'm teaching now. I've took them to 4 World Title Championships, different sport, kickboxing, but I've took them to 4 World Championships, 3 in Italy, 1 in Germany, and I've cornered fighters in Chicago and Glory. I've been to Madison Square Garden. I've been all over the world now doing K1 kickboxing, which is what I'm doing now.
Yep.
Initially, karate and judo.
Right, let's go back again.
Yep.
When you said, was the no choice? Your dad was going to take you anyway.
Yeah. I was getting bullied.
So basically, he said to you,
yeah, you're going to do something. So I was born with a dodgy left knee, and they thought I got polio, and they said I'd never do any sports because my leg was knackered. So my mum and dad decided just to let me get on with life, and it turned out to be osteoporosis, not polio, which is still a bone wasting type of disease. But they just said,
as a youngster,
yeah, or about
that's quite rare, isn't it?
4 or 5, yeah. And they had me had traction for 18 months and all sorts. But they basically said, I weren't going to do any sports, and this, that, and other. Mum and dad just decided to let me do what I wanted to do. And I played a bit of football when I was a kid running around. They watched me and decided to let me just do it. And because I never, after the illness, I started just playing as a kid. I sort of, you do, don't you, as a kid?
Yeah, of course you
don't think about it. Because I didn't know what was going off. I was just in a bit of pain, and they just let me play football, watch me do that.
Is that how the bullying started?
Yeah, bullying were a little bit, because I did have a bit of a limp and all that stuff, but I was just a skinny little, not skinny, I was a skinny little kid, and I got bullied at school, and my dad just says, no, my dad's an ex Green Howard and PTI and a boxer, and he just said, no, you've got to start learning to look after yourself, son. So he took me, as I said, give me them choices of judo, boxing and karate, and the first 2 years I fell in love with judo, and my dad said to me he'd come for a couple of months with me, but ended up 25 years later still doing training with me. So as I said to you earlier, he was not just my dad, he was my mentor, my training partner, my best pal, my sparring partner. So
let's take it street level now. When you leave school, going out, were you drinking?
Oh yeah, first 15 to 20, 21 before I started competing properly. Because when I went international company, I had to really be like a proper, training schedule, 7 days a week.
Yep.
So I cut all alcohol out and stuff. But 15 to 21, pisshead.
Like me.
Friday,
and
Saturday,
every
Sunday, downtown,
fighting.
scrapping, been locked up a few times. Only in a sort of overnight type of situation, like just drunken.
You said something. We had a little chat before on a brew. Very true. Now, if there'd have been cameras in our day,
you'd have been looking after me
as a prison officer.
Yeah,
I might have been in the cell with you.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have, mate. Yeah, I've been so lucky. I mean, I had a situation many years ago, and I don't know whether this is appropriate or not, but I had this bodybuilder chasing me about, and had a pop with him. I sorted him out on first one.
What do you mean? It took a dislike to you?
Yeah. Just telling people who were going to sort me out. This, that, and other.
Was he probably someone I knew?
No.
Okay.
No. A different sort of thing.
Okay.
Anyway, we had a bit of a dough, and I managed to sort that situation out. And again, just basically, we're going to do it again next time he saw me. We're going to have another pop. So I saw him in town, just finished training karate. Not very appropriate, this. And I thought, right, I'm fresh, I'm ready to go. And he was with his friends. So I ran across where Cole Brothers is, that thing. Had a pop, sorted him out. And when I'm sorting him out, I saw a little white Chevette police car at corner.
Yep.
Blue lights came on, straight over at the tarmac, jumped out, and I thought, that's it, I'm done. I'm going away for this one, because I did initiate it, but I won't want to wait for him, because he was like 17 stone, I was like 11.
Yep.
And I thought, fuck that, I'll get it sorted quickly. Anyway, Copper's jumped out, and it was one of my students, Copper.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm not going to mention no names, but he said, what's that? And told him, and he threatened to arrest other kid for being a dick. He went, and then he's introducing me to his female police officer as his instructor and that, and I thought, wow, that's like the winning lottery.
You got a squeeze.
Yeah. Listen.
As you know, a lot of coppers played rugby.
Yeah.
I had a few squeezes.
Yeah.
With lads up, if
Listen, mate, life in it, but I would like winning lottery that, because if that had been any other copper, they'd seen what I'd done. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was like a fair fight and all that stuff, but I did come on top and I'd give him some, and basically, if there'd have been cameras, it wouldn't have looked good.
Would you say, is it fair to say, well, I obviously know that you were Andy lad with a bit of reputation when you were younger.
More for karate, because another story for you, I basically, many years ago, I worked on a few doors, because I wanted to try the martial arts, to find out what worked on doors, and I was surprisingly shocked that a lot of it didn't work that well.
Because...
So I went boxing.
Street fighting, isn't it?
I ended up scoring points on people instead of trying to knock them out. So I went to a boxing club and just thought I'd need to learn how to punch, because I could punch and I was hitting them, but they were still there. So basically I did this bit of boxing, but going about reputation, we're back to that. I can remember clearly many years ago, I went in a pub in the Gate, it's called, and something happened with some lads and threw a few punches, dropped one, missed another, but they all run backwards and fell over chairs. And it looked like I knocked half a dozen out. Right, I'll be honest with you, I hit fucking one right, other one slipped, one fell on a glass, so it looked like somebody being glassed. I got took upstairs by a landlord, because he was a good lad, this landlord, and ambulance came, and it looked a bit of a fiasco, but it just looked like I'd dropped a lot of people, and I hadn't. And then my brother-in-law was on a bus going to Greenside months later to listen to these lads talking, and apparently this is how reputations are made, but this is a ridiculous thing. He heard this kid say, have you heard about that karate kid, Paul Powers? And of course he heard my name. 20 of them, fucking did 20 of them on his own. And I'm killing myself. I thought, I've not. But it was a load of bollocks, mate. I fucking hit one right. He went down, restaurant fell over, but just backing off. And it's just goes to show how our reputations can be built. And there were so many good lads out there that had leather me, but were frightening me. And I just thought, I never bullied anybody, but I did use that as a bit of a getting in nightclubs for free.
Listen,
and all that,
I can't tell you how many lads have been locked up fighting.
Yeah.
There's one in particular, I won't mention him. Not because he's not a good lad.
Yeah.
He's quite an humble lad, and all his prison sentences, and he's done a lot, are for fighting.
Yeah.
And quite often he didn't start the fights.
No.
However,
he's finished it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of, as I say, people have got reputations. In Sheffield now, it's a nightmare. I've got a friend of mine, he's a client and all. He's a 21 stone doorman, and he's backing out right now because he's got like 10 stone crackheads walking up to him threatening to shoot him and knife him, and basically he says they will these days. He says they're not worried about how big you are or who you are. He says, so what's changed now? You don't have fights anymore. You just guns and knives and.
Was it
it's a
not?
fucking
Did Bruce
fight.
Lee, you probably know, I'm sure Bruce Lee in an interview, somebody said, you know, how do you deal with someone with a weapon or knife or whatever, or what's your best defence? And he said something like a good pair of trainers.
Yeah, well, listen,
And
I teach self-defence to security guys. I teach self-defence to individuals, you know, different people. And our method of self-defence, especially with knives, is run, like you just said.
Yeah.
Utilise what's around you. Pick a chair up or pick a weapon up if you can't run. Give them what they want. You know, somebody pulls a knife on me, mate, 50 years experience, and I don't know, and I would give them everything they wanted. One of the best exercises I used to teach is, if you're out with your wife, use your wife as a shield so you don't get stabbed. She'll love that.
let me tell you now.
I actually did that on a course. And it did go down too fucking well with women.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you?
Oh, I did it at Manpower Services. Yeah, I did a women's management team, and I thought it was funny. I just basically
Yeah, I
said,
think it's funny.
I said, look, you know, the way to defend yourself against a knife is run, give them what they want, utilise your area. If there's a chair, defend yourself. And I said, but if you're with your wife, I said, just pull her in front of you, you know, so she gets it first, because you can always get another wife. Fucking hell, mate. Honestly.
Lead balloon.
Oh.
Listen, I know his missus.
No.
His missus is, she is a funny lady. Yeah. She is dry as fuck. Yeah. And she definitely wears the trousers, definitely.
That's true.
The stuff you get away with her.
I know. I realise how lucky I am.
Yeah, very much so. But
don't get away with it, because once we had a big row, big argument, and after a week, and I thought we were arguing like people do, you know, and then she decided to tell me what she'd done. She'd been cleaning the fucking toilet with my toothbrush all around inside the rim every day.
Really doing it?
Really doing it, and putting it back. And
will she have done that?
Oh no, that's why she stayed away from me. She wouldn't give me a kiss, and I said, what's up? She says, I'll tell you I've done that. That's kind of fucking, she might not be a physical fighter, but she's a psychopath in her own little ways, like, so that's what she did to me for a week, clean toilet with my fucking toothbrush. Then,
wow.
then tell me, I could have died with poisoning and all sorts.
I'm sorry, but I don't think...
That's not right, is it?
On a serious note, so, you know, we're not in the legal profession, we don't have any power, we're not politicians, you and me.
No, we're not.
But this, I find pretty heartbreaking. Firstly, this week, I believe, a 13-year-old lass has been stabbed in Hillsborough Park.
She has, yeah.
In hospital with an abdominal wound.
By a lad.
And they've arrested a 13-year-old lad
yeah.
on suspicion of attempt murder.
Yeah, I believe so, that's, yeah. Sadly.
Well, this morning, mate, get this, I come out at gym this morning, 7:15, driving home. A 9-year-old lass has been killed in Boston town centre in Lincolnshire, stabbed, and the police are treating it as murder. A 9-year-old girl.
Wow. Well, this was just saying earlier about these big doormen getting fronted by 10-stone fucking dickheads with guns and knives, and they'll use them, mate. The times have just...
What?
There's no deterrent, mate.
Well,
no deterrent.
Right, you know, I keep hearing people, I'm sure if one person got integrity, any politician, any party, and said, I'm going to make it my mission, you know, to take on violence, take on crime, put bobbies back on the street, whatever it takes, deal with knife crime, because they're not. There is no deterrent, is there?
No, we didn't know at all. None at all.
So, if you had the power, what would you... For me, you know, I've mentioned it before, and people say it won't work, it's changed. But you don't see police anymore, do you?
No.
When I were in town, which is why I got arrested so much. When I were in town, if you had a fight, you know...
They'd be there, wouldn't they?
Yeah, of course they would.
Yeah.
You know, when you come out of Roxy's nightclub and wander out to Crucible and start having a fight with a minor, you know, and then a cop car knocks you both down, you get arrested. They were everywhere, weren't they?
Well, I know a few police officers, and I won't mention any names, obviously, and they've told me, especially in Sheffield Town Centre on a Saturday, these cars, there's the big vans all over, but they're called ghost vans, I believe. There's nobody in them. They just park them up. They ain't got the manpower, and there were some ridiculous numbers like 12 coppers available for Sheffield Town Centre on a Saturday night. But all the vans, what they put out, I think it's ghost vans they call them. Basically, it's a deterrent. It's to let you think there's somebody in there, but they're in, and they just haven't got the manpower services. Listen,
it's believable. Again, mentioning, I'm not even good. There is a, I don't know whether it is a town or a city, I don't know whether it's got a cathedral, but in Greater Manchester, I've got a very good friend who said something very similar. I'm sure it won't bubble him anyway. So it's Bolton or Boughton if you live over there. Bolton Town Centre he said something very similar.
Yeah.
He says there might be 4 patrol vehicles now in town centre. He says we're loath to arrest anyone. You know, we will spend 20 minutes trying to get someone to go home, you know, break something up. He says, because if you arrest them, we're not going to a local station, and that's us gone for 2 hours.
Yeah, well, I can imagine, and that's like a quarter workforce gone, isn't it, really, if there's 12.
Well, it's not, that ain't no, if there's a big kick-off.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
You know, there used to be hundreds of coppers, mate.
Yeah,
or it seemed like that to me.
Yeah.
It seemed like that to me.
Yeah, we weren't it? There were definitely a lot more in our day.
Before
they've replaced them with cameras now, CCTV. They're sat in an office, aren't they? Or somewhere.
Yeah, they are.
And they're watching it like that. And that's why that's the sort of explanation I've been told. We don't need a lot of coppers because we've got cameras everywhere. But they can't go and stop.
It doesn't stop crime. It might secure a conviction.
Shit out someday. You know, how quick they're going to get anybody to that situation. Whereas before, like you said, they were on beat, walking around in your face and all that stuff, and showing presence. And that's going to stop a lot, isn't it? I just think basically we've gone soft on crime in every way, shape and form, and kids know that. They know how to, you know what I mean? They just know how to deal with it. And
I think the police force is soft.
Yeah.
The lads that they used to recruit, the sort of people who they recruit into police, it's not the same now, is it?
No, I can remember once being a bit later with a police inspector outside Westmore Police Station. Some youth had not paid his £2 on bus to go home at night, and they pulled the bus up and got us all off. So I just shouted out, I'm going to smash his head in because I've got to walk 5 miles now. And the police inspector come up to me and just slapped me across the face, give me a right fucking slap. And he took my head off. And he says, don't do that. And I just looked and I thought, fucking hell. You know what I mean? I don't really condone, but I didn't chase him. I didn't smash him all. But, you know, he was there on top of me. And but these days, I don't think they've got any incentive to do it, have they? They're just not... enough for them. Why would they?
There will be lads and lasses in the police force who are old school. By that, I don't mean, you know, assaulting people. I mean, I've got some bottle.
I asked for that slap, by the way. Well, I was being layered with him and that kid. Don't get me wrong. I think I'm happy with that because he put me in my place. And I look back, I was drunk, I was leery, and I needed it, to be honest with you. So I'm not complaining about that. What I'm saying is, like, if he did that these days, he'd probably lose his job, wouldn't he?
Yeah, someone would bubble him.
Yeah. So.
However, you know, needs must or whatever, innit?
Yeah.
You know, it's like South. I remember, and you have probably seen as well. South Yorkshire Police used to be known for, I don't know how many they were. I don't know what you call them, whatever you call them, a squad or whatever. But for dealing with football hooligans and kick-off, and they would be in full right gear.
Yeah, I know.
There would be brick shit houses. That would get out of vans. I've seen them in Hillsborough. Yeah,
frightened to death, weren't they? Before
the deep end were there, you know, ball and that.
Yeah, ball.
And everyone would go quiet because you weren't messing about with them. No. And if you know,
I see places like Spain, when I mean, I had an apartment in Spain for 15 years. I've seen police in action, and they just pull coshes out, you know, head weight and arrest you. They don't mess about, mace you. Our lot, they don't even pull. Every time they pull mace out and use it, apparently they've got to account for how much they've used and why they've used it. That lot. You just know if you messed about, you got a leather in, so you didn't mess about. That's, you know, you got drunk, you had a bit of time, they come, you behave yourself, because they were like.
Well, I don't think there's many European cities where French are probably you're not going to mess about in France, are you? If you got,
but you know that, don't you? You know that. You understand
you do.
That. So here, you know, you can argue with them. I mean, you watch them on television, all writers and that, and they're just disrespecting coppers and all that stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everyone's got a right to say and do what they want to do to a degree, but at some stage they've got to be stopped. And in our country, I just think our police are like either told to hold back or they're too soft. It might be our, you know, powers that be are saying, you know, don't let rip. But if you did half of stuff in like that in France, you'd get a cosh over your head, you'd get maced in the face or whatever. And if you know that, for me, that's the deterrent that we need. If I know I'm going to be doing something wrong or too aggressive, and they're going to step on me, I'll stop doing it. It's as simple as that, really. Or I'll think about stop doing it at least.
On the cameras in Sheffield, I think Sheffield were one of the most cameraed cities. Well, it were a few years ago. I don't know if it still is. But I knew a lad who worked in that job, and he said pretty much, you know, you can't have a piss or anything. He says the things we see, pretty much the town centre, back alleys, wherever, he's covered.
It's all covered, yeah.
However, it's not a deterrent. You know, alcohol, is it?
No.
And drugs now.
Oh, mate. Sheffield, I said we were talking earlier. I love Sheffield. You know, born and bred, and I'm a Sheffielder. We are full of it, but town centre in Sheffield now, and I'm going to get some slag for this because I've been on Facebook and said this, and 50% of people have agreed, 50% of people said, you know, it's getting better, and it's not. It's full of fucking drug addicts, alcoholics. I don't let my wife go to Sheffield town centre on her own, yet I let her go to Leeds on her own. It's a different world up there, and people won't like to hear that from Sheffield, but
Why?
you know, go and try Leeds and just go and have a comparison, because Sheffield is not good at the moment. It needs, and it's council that need to sort it out, and it's just horrible in Sheffield town centre.
Do you know what? I'm going to go down and do a bit of a vlog, you know, with my camera.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been down for such a long time.
Yeah.
I rode through other week on my motorbike. It's totally changed.
Yeah.
You know, all the things I recognised have all gone.
And not for the better for most of the time. There's some nice little areas in Sheffield. We've got some little, bottom of West Street, there's a couple of like areas there where there's lovely restaurants. You go in there, you feel like you're in a different town. Then you come back out and you hit all other shit, all druggies and all the rest of it, and it's just like a different world again. And we've got little patches like that. We've got, what they call it now, God, what they call it, on Neepson Lane, that new area down there.
Oh yeah, down near Parkwood Springs area.
God, what's it called now? Anyway, it's basically booming. It's lovely, full of right people, and you can go down there and feel comfortable. You know what I mean? It's just a lovely area. So Sheffield's got some great areas. All it needs to do is sort the dirty and scruffy areas.
To be honest, right, when I went to Manchester, after the first couple of times of going out, when we were in private sector, we were going out in places like Bolton. Yeah. Bolton for me were like Sheffield, a bit of a cowboy town.
Yeah.
However, I didn't feel unsafe.
Yeah, yeah.
When I went into Manchester, when I were at Strangeways and we started going out there, nobody who I went out with who was from Manchester recognised it, but for me it was proper. It didn't feel like Sheffield.
Yeah.
Then, you know, when I left Sheffield, I remember going down West Street and you go down Division Street, doormen were all talking to each other at boozers, and there were coppers in between pubs walking about, high visibility, liaising. So it was like, it did feel safe, you know. I'd feel safe getting drunk, and any mates or my missus or anything, I wouldn't be concerned about them going out.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that place, I just remember the name of Kellam Island.
Kellam Island,
It's brought Sheffield considerably up. I mean, it's like some lovely restaurants, and it's you feel safe down there. But it is the older generation that's down there a little bit. And but Sheffield Town Centre, like I say, it's somewhere. Even at daytime, I don't want my wife going down there. It's not nice anymore, which is pretty sad. But like I said, there's pockets that are really nice if they can tidy it.
Why do you think that people don't like you saying that, if that's how it is?
Because I had a bit of a dispute with a few people on Facebook. Sheffielders, they're like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I fucking live in Sheffield. I've been in Sheffield Town Centre. I can look after myself. And I still don't want my wife walking down there. And the biggest thing for me was Susan convinced me to go to Leeds shopping several times last year.
Yep.
And it was like a different world. There were no spices knocking about. There were no, you felt comfortable. It was clean, tidy. You got police officers or other police officers walking about.
I think
there
were some private security, as well.
And it was just so much more comfortable.
Well, right. So
I want Sheffield to be like that.
Well, our lass has been out in Leeds in day and that. She's taken younger and she's been with a friend who really put, and no worries.
Yeah.
I've been picked them up, dropped them off, and I've had a mooch about myself. I haven't been down there all afternoon. However, what it's got Leeds, all of it is nice.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
There's nothing being renovated. It's all nice.
Clean
it's
and
all
tidy,
bars and a lot pedestrianised and. I didn't see any coppers or anything like that. I don't know whether they must obviously deal with, you know.
They've got a lot of, like you said, there's all cameras into these days and just odd and knocking about. But there were a lot of the, what they call PCOs or something.
PCOs.
Yeah, well, I know. But they're still there, they're still visible. But it just felt so much better in Leeds, so much more comfortable. And I want Sheffield to get like that again. Because it has been. I would never have gone out of Sheffield. But now I just feel like it's a lot safer for what we've got, and I feel more comfortable. And I'm giving my money now to Leeds instead of set up to my own town. So, you know, but as I say, I'm going to get grief for that, but I don't really care because it's what I believe.
Well, I had to walk around our town centre in Wakefield the other day, and I don't know what I was expecting, but you know what? It weren't half bad. Sadly, there were quite a lot of places shops, and I'm sure that's to do with lockdown,
society,
obviously. However, you know, I was with a missus and it did feel safe or whatever, so maybe I'll have a toot in Sheffield and see what I think.
Have a one around and you'll see what I'm saying, honestly. as I said, these pockets are absolutely beautiful, and but just I don't know whether to put it down to police or council or whatever, but it needs tidying up. We need to sort it out, because in the past I would have never left Sheffield.
Do you think because you know, you're obviously quite astute and that, and you can handle yourself, and you run a business like that, you know, like I think I've always been conscious of what's around me, but being in prison and that, you're looking.
You get a second sense, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, I get a feel that wherever I've got to go, I don't do it purposely, but I'm always aware if I can hear somebody a bit loud in a place, and I see something and I think, and this is part of what the self-defence training I teach, de-escalation and evasion and stuff like risk assessment.
De-escalation's the thing, mate.
Yeah, but risk assessment before that, so you don't put yourself in that position, is always better, because I'll say to Susan, or she'll say, can we go so-and-so? I'll look and I'll think, you know, I don't want to go down West Street on a Friday night when it's full of like 18-year-olds scrapping and drinking, which I used to do, by the way. A bit two-faced, but I'm not going to put myself in that position. So we'll go down Eccleston Road. So that your risk assessment is, you know, is find out where shit is and try and avoid it best.
But here's the thing, mate. When we were fighting or whatever, like you said, you get some good hidings and you might give some out.
A few of them.
I can't remember ever being or hearing about people getting stabbed, obviously.
Oh,
listen, I think it's changed.
Massively. I can remember, and people on this might remember this, because the Crazy Days in nightclub in Sheffield probably.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Well, we were there the last couple of years it been on, and I can remember the first person glassing somebody, and it went round town like wildfire. Somebody's been glassed. What glassed? Yeah, and it was like something really new and special, and people were like, fucking hell, somebody's actually glassed. And that's the least you get now. You get fucking shot or stabbed or whatever. So it's just gone like that, you know, from glassing to knifing to shooting.
Do you think, you said drinking now, I don't think they're drinking.
Well, it's more like
my mate who's in the prison service, he's a little bit younger than us, although he looks as old as us. He went out, he don't do screws do's, as they call them, but they all talked him into going out. He's a manager, he's got a lot of young'uns, you know, come on. He said he went out, he said, Sam, I was the only person drinking. Yeah. He said, I've been out half at night, slowly. He said, I'm not realising. And then one of them says, do you want a line?
Yeah.
I nearly said his name then. Do you want a line or whatever? And he's like, what?
Yeah.
And they're all drinking like energy drinks or whatever, and doing other stuff.
Yeah. I've lost several fighters through coke and stuff. Yeah, either lose them, and don't get this wrong, ladies, to the girlfriends or wives.
Yeah, I understand that, family. It's a lot of commitment.
Absolutely. Or lose them to alcohol. And bigger one, nice coke. I was talking to a good friend from another town just outside Sheffield, and he said exactly the same. He says, I can go out, he says, and 90% of people we're out with them are out. He says, taking more coke than alcohol. He says, it's just what people are doing these days, drinking less and taking more of that shit. So, you know, again, that's changed dramatically, hasn't it? Because we all used to have 18 pints, didn't we? And
it has. You know, I don't understand it.
It's all about getting drunk.
I went to a party on Manor. I think that was probably before I left Sheffield to go to Manchester. And there was a saucer full of coke. I don't know how much the value of that. I mean,
no idea.
You know, so a saucer.
Yeah.
And I got me John Smiths or whatever, yeah, and everyone were doing it. But then, to me, you know, I weren't aware. Now, I have met very, very good friends I've known a long time. Obviously, I lost touch, like yourself. Yeah. What's this second time I've seen you in 20 odd years?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Last time you were doing a barbecue, weren't you, for us?
Oh, when we were in Sheffield, you used me, didn't you?
Yeah, I took advantage of your catering skills, which, to be honest with you, we all got food poisoning after. But
come on.
Listen, mate, honestly, we were so ill. No, I'm only kidding, we were fucking brilliant, mate.
No, I am born to cook, aren't I?
Yeah,
I'm a good cook.
There's a chef in there somewhere.
But, yeah, so this is probably the second time I've seen you in 20 years.
Yeah.
We had a scran last time, went out.
Yeah, we did.
Very, 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 very good friend, and just said, yeah, well, he didn't say I had a really bad coke addiction. He said, I've got one.
Wow.
So I said, are you taking it now? He says, no. He says, but if you told me now you'd got a wrap in your coat,
you'd have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was one person. People, I have people message me, right? So I do my little vlogs, I do my interviews, and people will message you and they say, you know, you're going on about people text. I don't know anyone texts. You do.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
And
some people just do it a little bit. Some people are reliant on it.
but why do you think it is, mate? What do you
Well, I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, they've got the money to do it. Some of them, haven't they? It's because it's not cheap, apparently. I don't know how much it costs, but it can't be cheap. And expensive beer now. I mean, there's been tram lines on in Sheffield recently, and I was told it was like 6, 7, 8 quid a pint and stuff like that.
So that is
So it's a music festival.
it's a music festival in Hillsborough. I got told that tram lines, that when you went in on the day,
you couldn't come out.
If you come out, you can't go back in.
That's right. Well, that tram lines were made to enhance the local communities' businesses.
Yeah.
Right, and some brainwave, either in Sheffield Council
Yeah.
or somebody's bought it, then decided once you're in, you can't come out. So it's destroyed all the micropubs,
Yeah.
all the pubs, all the
Sandwich shops.
destroyed them. They all rely on things. With COVID being as it has,
Yeah.
they would
It'll be a big
looking-
that. People would take a lot of money, won't they, over that
Big
weekend?
couple of weekends for them on a weekend, for what they needed, mate. Honestly, in Sheffield, and I'm not sure. I'm not going to slag council down, but if it was the council, dickheads, mate, because basically a lot of people we know have got little coffee bars and just had no, mate, and price to going out again. I don't know what numbers, but I know it went hundreds of pounds. Water, beer, sandwiches, and food was shite. And they apparently couldn't. To one of my mates who took
And
his kids.
expensive, no doubt.
You know, one of my lads took his 3 kids. He says, Paul, it was like a month's wages he'd done in a weekend because it was so expensive for him. So, and then they can't even come out and have a cheapy beer in McDonald's or whatever they want to have. You've got to stay in there and pay X amount of money for a burger that apparently weren't very nice and all the rest of it. But I weren't there, so I don't know. I'm only going on second-hand
Do you think
information.
people, I do, I think a lot of people are struggling now. And I think the drug thing, like I say, it's cheaper than alcohol.
Yeah.
It's readily available now.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know where to get
No.
coke when I was a kid.
No.
I think people are just losing themselves in it. And then once they start...
Yeah, and then they get hooked, and it's like.
Have you lost good fighters?
Yeah, I've lost a couple of good fighters to alcohol, and I'm not saying big drug addicts, but
No.
part of that thing, and it's still happening now. You know, it's still happening now. I'm seeing young fighters going out and putting on Facebook, and I know what they're doing. They think I'm stupid, like, you know, I'm 61. What the fuck do I know? But I know everybody, and they'll come in and say, oh, so and so the day, with coked out of his head and pissed out of his head and all the rest of it.
It's a sad state, really,
It
isn't
is, mate, because it's ruining lives. You know, it's ruining lives. And again, I was talking to Alex the other day, and I says, and Joe, the governor, I says, if we could get rid of drugs, 90% of crime would stop straight away. I think.
I think they're tackling it the wrong way, though, mate. You know, it's all right going after big drug dealers, stopping drugs coming in. The fact is that an heroin addict or somebody who's using coke will get it from anywhere.
Yeah, they'll find it. What they'll
So
find.
for me,
Yeah.
I always go back to this: is preparing kids, next generation.
Yeah, educate them. Yeah.
You know, like my mate now, he's not doing coke.
Yeah.
One, he ain't got the money.
Yeah. But the thing is, what happens is start doing wrong things in order to get the money. I
Well,
mean, situation.
That is my worry right now, that people
people's robbing people and stuff like that, for the
are
money.
going to struggle to live.
Oh, they're going to check. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I agree. with
crime's
it,
going to
yeah.
go through the roof.
I said to Alex, I says, you know, Alex, I says, look, you've got 3 kids to feed, mate. I says, if you can't feed him, what are you going to do? And he's the nicest man in the world, most loyal, most honest person I've ever met. We call him Dudley Do Right. Is that fucking good? And I said, what if you've got no food for your kids? What we do? We went out. I said, you burgled somebody's house. And he says, yeah. I says, there you go. I'm talking to the nicest man in the world.
Yeah.
If he gets no food for his kids, mate, I'll be robbing people to feed my family. So you're turning all, you know, so-called decent people potentially going to become criminals because they have to. So, you know, it needs to be sorted out. And for me, it's all about politicians and government. It starts at the top for me and what they've done to this country over. I mean, I was lucky. I didn't have to shut my business, but loads of my friends have lost their businesses.
Yeah, I know people.
And they're never going to recover. And I just think we've been conned, you know. And I know COVID's been a terrible thing for some families and that, but it's not. They shouldn't have stopped the world for it. Shouldn't have stopped the world and done what they've
There's
done.
consequences, isn't there?
Massive. I know of 2 people that's died, one with an heart attack and one with cancer that weren't, I'm not going to mention no names, were supposed to be treated through COVID times, and had been treated for cancer and was told, we can keep you alive for a long time if you keep doing this treatment. 3 months no treatment, died. And then another one, I needed a stent, couldn't get in hospital, massive heart attack and died. And that, you know, but yet I don't know anybody that's died of COVID. And again, I know people have, and I'm not disrespecting them families, I'm not going to do that. But I know people that have lost their businesses, massively depressed. People, a couple of people that have actually died through not COVID.
Like you say, it's been mismanaged.
Yeah,
that,
it has.
In its simplest terms,
yeah.
It was mismanaged.
Absolutely.
And
Wow.
the prevention, you know, wasn't effective.
No, it wasn't. No.
So
it wasn't. And you know, when they're telling us people who were dying in the streets and all that rubbish, and they got Sheffield Arena, Sheffield Ice Hockey Place as a mortuary, and arena with all beds in. You know, you look and you think, how could you get that so wrong? I mean, obviously, if it had gone belly up, would have been there, would have been shouting them out, wouldn't we, saying well done? But somebody somewhere just got it all wrong. And then you know, for my personal thing is when you see your leader telling you can't go more than 4 miles from your house, and day after he's caught 7 miles in a park, and then they party and all that shit, it just really fucking winds me up. And I just think
I can't watch it. I keep away.
I watched news for probably 3 years now because it was stressing me out.
Yeah.
And my first reaction to COVID was, oh great, 6 weeks off or whatever, and lads were getting paid through government. I got a little bit of help with things and that.
Yeah.
You know, we're in a good position, everything's paid for. And I thought, great, that. And then I started getting a bit depressed because it went on, and I thought, the fucking business is going to go here. So I ended up opening through a few loopholes in law, and one was
You're doing some outside circuits.
Outside circuits. Coppers come with that.
Did they?
Because my neighbours reported me.
Really?
Wonderful people. Who, by the way, a year before asked me if I could park the cars in my car park, and I let them because they were getting scratched. If they come again, they're going to get fucking no and probably a clip. But so these fuckers, coppers come, so what they're doing, said, can't really stop you because you're doing it right. Then we went back inside, and I got all my fighters to sign a pro contract, which meant they could train. So we had a visit from coppers again. They couldn't answer that one. Another one loophole that I had for a couple of weeks, which helped us, is on the government website.
Yeah.
It said you could continue doing promotional photographs and videos in COVID times, ready for when COVID was finished, to promote your business. So I got 2 big cameras in there. I got my fighters in, fucking put lights on, just videoing them. Coppers come again. I said, what are you doing?
Sparring and that.
So I just said, here, read that government's thing there. And within a month that had gone anyway. But there were little loopholes that I were getting help from all sorts of people, just saying, try this, Paul, try that. And they come, and I don't think coppers wanted to be there, to be honest. I just think they'd come because...
No.
And I was told again, I know it might be, that if there's coppers watching, they'll probably say this is not it's a load of bollocks, but I was told if it was a COVID situation or breaking the law for COVID, that would be put before a burglar rate in someone's house. And that's how serious they took it. And I'm like, fuck, you know, mate, if that is true, what a sad world we're in now. They're going to come and stop you from having a little house party with your family before they're going to stop some cunt burgling your house. And as I said, that might just be, but that's what I would tell you.
I have no doubt that happened, mate.
It's we're a terrible situation. So,
right, Paul Powers, it's your birthday today.
Thank you.
Are we going to go and have another brew?
I think we have a cup of tea and that's, yeah.
And then you can go back to work because obviously...
Piece of cake or something like that.
Yeah, it's a bit alien to you, like sitting down and...
I don't stop after now. I love my life, I love my job, passionate about it, and every morning get up and it's not a job no more. It's lovely. It's a great life. Sam?
Pleasure, mate.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, bud.
Al City.